Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Good afternoon to each and every single one of you. The bookmakers currently have Edwin Van Da Sar down as the favourite to replace Ed Woodward at Manchester United. Of course, there are a couple of internal candidates that are also well touted by many media outlets today. We're going to go through these articles, go through these situations, but we want your thoughts and feelings as Manchester United fans watching this. Who do you want to come in and why? Will it make much difference, in your opinion, if the Glazers remain at the football club? Something that stands out to me massively as one of the reasons why they didn't look to appoint Edwin Van Da Sar sooner, and it's when the John Myrtle news came through, is that Ed Woodward believed that Edwin Van Da Sar would be too demanding. But that's what we want, isn't it, as fans? We want board members challenging the owners and being demanding and setting legitimately high standards. Winning a title is more important than winning a new noodle sponsorship. But I want your views and I want your opinions on this today. Make sure that like button is being smashed. You're subscribing to the Football Terrace. We're going to go through some more of the, fallouts and the other sort of side dish news when it comes to the European Super League, which is, it's just been a huge day of news. I think the majority of teams have now pulled out. The Italians are pretty much done. I think there's 4 teams left in it officially as it stands right now. So basically they're down to its semi-final. It's all gone. It's legitimately all gone, but they're still hanging on in there. They really are. Woodward to replace Levy. It's not going to happen. Edwin Van Da Sar is not enough. If he is an owner who can buy out the Glazers, then I feel better. I hear what you're coming from, and I'm not going to plagiarize Gary Neville. He said it, and he's right, that Ed Woodward was the sort of the foot of the trunk, but we now need to go for the roots. There's only 2 ways that the Glazers sell this club. If it stops being financially viable for them, if they stop making the levels of money that they want to at the club, either the reports today that they had their hearts set on the Super League as being this big money spinner, or fans pulling away cash now, that's a way. The only other option is if the government, which I don't have any faith in doing, bring in the legislation required to give fans a majority control over the running of their football clubs. That would diminish the value of Manchester United because it stops being as profitable as a going concern or as a business that you're able to withdraw money from. If you've got more voting rights as fans, you can stop people doing those types of things. So they're the 2 ways they would sell. Right now, we want those things to happen, but they may not sell. They may stay on at the football club. And if they do, what you then need to look for is a happy medium. My view when it comes to Edwin Van Da Sar, who is currently the bookies' favourite to come in, and I genuinely hope that this is genuine and true. I really hope it is. Somebody like him could at least continue what Ollie has done on a smaller scale: cultural changes, structural changes, different types of players, trying to get the house in order. If we're not owned by the best people in the world, what you need is the very best people in class to be working internally to get the best out of your club. We had that with David Gill and Sir Alex Ferguson, with the best manager in the world and one of the best men to run the club in the world next to each other, steering the ship that the Glazers were looking to destroy. The problem we've had since is bad leadership from Woodward, and we haven't picked the right appointments as managers. Now, on the Ollie thing, look, with all this going on, he's definitely staying on next year, regardless to what happens. But I think if you can get a Van Da Sar, of somebody of that ilk into the football club to run it at that level that can help Ollie, within 12 to 18 months, we could be in a position to really motor on and bring in a world-class manager to take us back to that next level. It could legitimately happen. Comment here says, hands down, the job should go to Frank Lampard. I was reading that to Frank Lampard. Can you imagine if it does? There we go. That made me laugh. That actually made me laugh. Thank you, Shane, for becoming an official member of the football. You've already been an official member. You've upgraded to legendary status today. That means a great deal to us. Thank you very much, sir, for getting that done. I love some of these comments here. Let's go to some more of these. Terry, what What would the Ollie outers say if Van Da Sar still keeps Ollie around? Remember, better CEO sees Ollie is incompetent. Listen, those kind of debates are to be had at some stage. I've said before that what if a better manager comes in who keeps picking Scott McTominay? As a football fan, I want to go back to those kind of conversations because those trivial conversations, they're trivial in comparison to what's going on now. That lets you know football's back. So I want to see those conversations. I want to see what happens when a better manager, a more respected manager picks particular players. I want to see what happens when a better CEO keeps on a manager like Ollie. Listen, a better CEO wouldn't keep. If we bring in a better CEO that demands higher standards, we won't reward a manager for just making the top four and not winning trophies. So I don't think that would necessarily happen. But of course, from a social point of view and from a football fan angle, I would love to see the reactions to it. Of course, I would. It's what I do day to day. Abdullah here, thank you very much for becoming a squad member, upgrading your membership to squad membership at the Terrace. Again, cannot tell you how humbling that is for us. Thank you very, very much indeed. We will be opening up the line soon for you to have your say on this. Terry, do people really want the 50+1 rule? I like the rule, but I don't think the Premier League fans will like it. There is a reason Bundesliga clubs are not that competitive in the Champions League. I think I need to research it more myself. And I'm not saying copy the way Germany does it directly, but there needs to be more fan input. There needs to be better ownership of clubs. And I don't think you just copy a model, copy and paste and drop and go. But there is an element to say, well, let's take a look at it, let's research it, let's see how it looks and feels, and kind of go from there. Micah here says, just like what you said about Fergie and Gill being the world's best, Liverpool have that in Edwards and Klopp. United need a Poch and Van Der Sar duo. And I hear you on that. And I know, again, a lot of people think I have a Poch agenda. I don't. I like having a bit of a... I find it really interesting with social media. People, it's there to like give opinions and to criticize people's opinions and have a bit of a laugh and a joke. Not everybody enjoys that, seemingly. But maybe that's just my interpretation of it. And of course, we need a better manager and a better run club. And I think that will happen. It would just be interesting if Van Der Sar and Ollie get on like a house on fire and things motor on forward progressively. I would just like to see the reaction to it. I really would. Terry, you need to support the Glazers out protest. When you say support it, what do you mean? Tell me what you mean by support it, and I'll tell you what I can do. My view on the protest is this. I think it's a great idea. I think everybody involved should be proud of themselves. Everyone that's going should be proud of themselves. What's the tangible action? And I want to ask everyone who's involved, what are you doing after the fact to ensure the Glazers feel your wrath? Feel the wrath. What are you going to... I'm interested to know. I'm really interested to know. Man like Josh here says, any Spurs fans watching, Terry, get down to the stadium today. ENIC out protest start at 4 p.m. Don't stop now. We've got these pagans on the run. Yes, Josh. Get yourself, like I've said before, Man United fans, get there Saturday and do your protest. Spurs fans, get down to White Hart Lane. And I'll still call it White Hart Lane because that's what that stadium should always be called. The same as St. James's Park will always be St. James's Park. There's no doubt about it. Get yourself down there and protest. My question to you, Josh, you know, you're a big contributor of the Terrace. Can't wait to start getting you back on making more content as well, bro. Outside of protest, what else are you Spurs fans going to do? And what I mean by that is, if 50,000 people turn up today and protest, but then all renew their season tickets, does it actually mean anything? And that's the question I'm asking. I'm not trying to catch people out. I'm not trying to put people on the spot. I'm asking what the next step and stage is. Because that kind of action that's tangible, that impacts people, I think that's where you're going to get the move. And I say this yesterday, the Chelsea fans should be buzzing for the way they behaved yesterday. Excellent from a protest point of view. But let's not be twisted here. Sponsors threatening to pull out. The Super League in itself getting no traction. TV companies saying they're not going to be interested. This played a big part in that. If all the TV companies and sponsors were happy with it and it was just the fans being angry, I'm still not too sure if they would have pulled away. And I'm not talking about managers and players being on board with it. I'm talking about the way these clubs are run. We never know for sure. It's just the feeling, gut feeling that I have towards it. Maybe I am being a little bit too cynical, but the fans should definitely do it. They should be proud of themselves because they played their part 110%. Mark Goldbridge Dog, hello, how are you? I hope you're well. Why do you have that name? I'm really intrigued to know why that is your username. I really, really am indeed. Premier League title loading. Just a massive night tonight for Man City as well, isn't it? It's a massive thing tonight. But by the way, on these protests, so KJ contacted me earlier because he was going to go down and protest at Villa, just to be a fan amongst the numbers. The Villa fans have cancelled their protest tonight. And that's one of my points here. When it suddenly becomes less fashionable, are people going to protest? The protest shouldn't just be stage one to stop the Super League from happening. They have to be bigger. But do people genuinely have the appetite to go beyond that? That's the question I'm asking of people today. And if you have, phone in. Let us know why. Let us know what you're thinking and you're feeling. I'm so intrigued to know. I really, really am. Because it's actually Mark Goldbridge's dog. Okay, there we go. Why didn't I think of that one? That would have been interesting. That would have been interesting. It really, really would have been. What was I going to read here? I was about to read something as it stands right now. Edwin Van Da Sar did make some comments a little while ago about potentially joining Manchester United. And he basically was questioned a few months back about would he join Manchester United? Would he ever come here? And his words at the time were, this is what I'm quoting here from the Manchester Evening News, is he goes, I feel that I'm not ready to finish at Ajax yet. I'm happy with the confidence. Our common goal to join the European top elite with Ajax. This includes healthy business organizations that are focused on national and international growth and based on the values that belong to Ajax. He's talking DNA there, people. Remember, if Van Da Sar comes to Man United, DNA will be spoken about a lot. That is ambition. And I love it. Together with the rest of the management team, I'm happy to continue to get that together as a whole. We are well on our way, but we are not there yet. So very much, committing himself moving forward. The only other kind of stumbling block is what Mark Overmars kind of implied in a comment about this. And I want to say this was in the summertime when the director of football role was being discussed. I've got to try and find the quotes on it. I don't have it in front of me right now, where he basically mentioned that the two would move as a pair. I don't quite know how that would sit with John Myrtle and Darren Fletcher. However, there are rumors as well that Matt Judge will also be leaving the football club. So maybe there's the room to bring in Van Da Sar and Mark Overmars into the footballing elements that Matt Judge and Ed Woodward took over. For me, I would love that. One, you'd take an Arsenal legend and you'd get him to run Man United Football Club and make us better. That's that football banter, that trivial stuff that we need. But equally, it'd be two intelligent, educated football men at the top. In terms of the other odds, that are out, as it stands right about now, I'm just trying to get this right. What's this say here? Sorry, these are the odds. This is it. So Edwin Van Da Sar is ranked number 1, odds on favorite as it stands right. Not odds on, all the odds are against, but he's favorite. Gary Neville is sitting in their 3rd favorite. Interestingly, 4th favorite is Zinedine Zidane. And now some people might know a little bit more about Zidane than I do. I have read before that he's interested in going more into an upstairs role than coaching role. So maybe Patrick Kluivert is another. Eric Abadal's on the list there. 33-1, Marina from Chelsea. That isn't happening. Rafael Benitez is 50-1. Michael Edwards from Liverpool, 50-1. Jose Mourinho, 100-1. As it's obviously some joke ones that are thrown into that as well. Edwin Van Da Sar's there. But the two other main candidates that need to be spoken about are already at Manchester United. First and foremost, there is Cliff. I think it's pronounced Cliff Batty. A lot of people, this is what the article here says. It goes, he's a man who is often mistaken for one of the Glazer family, given his similar resemblance. The club's current chief financial officer is yet another front runner for the role. And there is also Richard Arnold, because with the big names, it says here with the big names that would excite fans the most, someone that some of you may not be familiar with is the current director, Richard Arnold, who is probably the most likely candidate to internally reach the role. He goes, it goes on to say Arnold joined the club ahead of the 2007-08 season, working as a commercial director with responsibility for management and growth of the club's sponsorship deals. But when I read both about Richard Arnold and I read about Cliff Batty, it's the football brain that I worry about. The commercial element, I have no... Ed Woodward's commercial element was grand. It was his relation. Imagine Edwin Van Da Sar and Mark Overmars going to Premier League meetings, UEFA meetings as the representatives of Manchester United. Do you realize the respect they're going to get? A lot of people are concerned about John Myrtle and Darren Fletcher. Who's going to be concerned about them if they're being backed up by double Champions League winning legendary goalkeeper Edwin Van Da Sar and Premier League and Dutch football legend Mark Overmars? They've got skin in the game and they're legends of football. Darren Fletcher's respected in football, by the way, and John Myrtle apparently has that. Look at that as a foursome, what that could do. I think if we bring in Richard or Cliff, there's just an element of same. Has anything really changed? That would be my major concern surrounding this. Comment here from Rag says, being a Juventus fan, Andre and Agnelli already ruined my love for Juve. Forced Del Piero out, then Conte, and finally our historic logo. Yeah, I think something needs to be focused. I mean, we don't obviously focus here on the European leagues as much. One of the best channels out there, actually, man like Aaron that used to host, we all know who Aaron is, but used to host our United podcast, does a lot of European coverage on his channel. So it's very much worth checking out, no doubt. The Italian clubs seem to be really feeling this. There's no doubt about it. And yeah, when your badges get changed, when historic figures get moved out, it is always very, very painful. Comment here says, Edwin will be another employee of the cartel. Don't trust anybody. I hear you. And even if Edwin and Mark Overmars are appointed, would I suddenly overnight trust the Glazers and trust the process with my whole heart? No. Absolutely no. I wouldn't. I absolutely wouldn't in any way, shape or form. But we're here to talk about what the papers are saying, what the bookies are saying, what the odds are saying, but equally what we want as fans. This is about fans being able to express their opinions around who comes in. And I think for me, I would be more confident of us moving forward in a suitable and acceptable way with Edwin and Mark Overmars at the helm, at the root of the tree, at the base of the tree, as opposed to Arnold and Batty. Even the names, bruv. Just Edwin Van Da Sar and Mark Overmars turning up to a meeting. It's powerful. It's potent. Remember what Rio told Newcastle fans. Funny how karma works. Who do you think is going to own United when it's over? Right now, I still feel like the Glazers, in my gut, I still feel like the Glazers are going to stay. We need the legislation, or we need fans to vote with their feet. My only other hope, and KJ brought this up on our Twitter stream earlier today, is that the Glazers actually were banking on this Super League going through because they could take out hundreds of millions of pounds a year from the club. If that's not happening, maybe their own desire will be to leave. That's what we've got to hope. But if they have no personal desire to leave, if the fans don't cut the money off, and if there's no legislation that changes the way the ownership of the club is running, the Glazers won't go. So if they don't go, what's the second best option? You need the best the football minds possible to run the football element of the club. I think that's more likely and more achievable than them leaving at this moment in time. And even if they're not going to leave straight away, you still get the Edwins and the Mark Overmars in because new owners are going to love them anyway. So what we want and what's going to happen can be two different things. But we're here as fans. We're the speakers, supporters of this club, to give our views and our opinions on these matters. Please make sure you're hitting that like button for us this morning, people, or this afternoon, I should say. Comment here says, you need someone that knows United's history and a fan of the sport. The fabric of football needs to change. Give it back to the fans. I hear you on that. I don't necessarily think they need to know Man United's history wholeheartedly. That would be an added bonus. But I think we need football people. And look, John Myrtle and Darren Fletcher, I'm intrigued to see how they do. But you still need people better above. Why not? Uh, Blue Maniac's going crazy. We're not going to block him. He's on here a lot. He's a good guy, really. Terry, as long as the Glazers are still here, there is no way Van Da Sar is appointed. They will employ another Woodward. I have that fear as well. There is no doubt about it. I share that same very fear with each and every single one of you. We're going to open up the lines now for you to come on and have your say. We want your thoughts on Man United moving forward. I'm very sorry. I'm just going to share the link now in the comment sections. I am going to one day type these links out before I go live so I can just press the button and share it. But until that day happens, you're going to have to put up with me. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what you're feeling. Edwin Van Da Sar, is that the right move? Would you be disappointed if we go for another commercial manager being in charge of the football element of this game? Let us know right now what you're thinking and feeling. We're going to get KJ, bring him on, and then we've got Aaron backstage. We've got Ahad backstage as well. Gunnar is with us. We've got many people coming through. There's another super chat here from Daniel that says, only way the owners can repair trust and seek forgiveness now, Terry, is to relinquish control back to the fans. They can't be trusted. And if they had good advisors, that's what they would be being told. Don't just put out an empty apology like Arsenal and Liverpool have done. A bit like I'm saying about the protests. The protests are a great start. What comes after that protest? What do you do after that point? What is your tangible action? For me, if the Glazers say we're sorry and then make no change to the way they operate and run things, they're proving they're not sorry. If Liverpool don't change their approach, Henry is not sorry. It's as simple and as straightforward as that for me. You can't say you're sorry and you regret your decision and the way you've behaved and then not change the way you've behaved. It's mad. Life doesn't work like that. Man like KJ's coming on now. How you doing, bro?
Oh, the news is always sweet. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I want to make sure my microphone's in so I don't sound like crap. I don't know what's going on. There we go.
There we go.
Wonderful. Right, Terry. The news is sweet. The news is sweet. Woodward, Woodward is going. Now, there's reports saying he's going in the end of 2021. Some saying, Sammy Locker is saying like he could be going as soon as possible, maybe in the summer. I would love it to be as soon as possible, but I don't care. You know why? Because I know my man is leaving. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And if Edwin came back to us, brought in Overmars as well, I'd be happy. I would be happy. But the pagans cannot be in charge. They still cannot be in charge. They still need to go. I don't care what they do. They could bring Van Da Sar, Ronaldinho, Ronaldo. They could bring the entire band of the world's greatest footballers to help save United. I still want them gone. They could buy all the best players in the world, have a super team of the best players. Still want them gone. They could win. I told you my remit for these brothers. 5 Premier Leagues and a Champions League. And I still want them gone. There's no remorse. There's no, I can forgive them. No, this is enough. I've had enough. I already had enough, but I've had enough. It is time for these pagans to get got. Edwin Van Da Sar does not change that. Get these guys gone.
Yeah, no, I completely and utterly agree. I completely, apologies here, I just got to type something. I completely and utterly agree with you. I think, look, there's going to be lots of speculation and rumor as to who comes in relation to this deal. I think for me, it's hard. Honestly, it's hard to not to give an opinion. That's a silly thing for me to say. It's not hard to give an opinion. What I'm concerned about is I'm skeptical about there being mass change because the dust hasn't settled enough from everything that's going on. But I still believe at the other end of that spectrum, in my head, I'm thinking, but this has gone so catastrophically wrong for the Glazers, so wrong for all involved. They may be forced into giving us these changes that they want and that they need. And that's the hope. And we've got to push for it. And I know the protests are happening this week. And as I say, I'm fully supportive of them. You know, we'll share links, we'll push out. I personally will not be there. family commitments, work commitments. That's it. It's as simple and straightforward as that, as far as I'm concerned. But I'll support it. I want to know what the group's financial sanctions towards Man United would be. What are they going to reject? Are people going to, mass kind of cancellation of season tickets, burning of kits? I don't know what it is. I'm just throwing it out there, like cancellation. Everybody unfollows Man United at exactly the same. Like we do a thing at 3 p.m. on Monday afternoon, we all simultaneously unfollow Man United on socials. Some things are tangible, some things are ceremonious, but we do all these things regimented. If we do that, I'm going to be 110% behind it. There is no shadow of a doubt. But there needs to be some follow-through. I'm excited about Edwin maybe coming in. I'm buzzing that Ed Woodward has gone. I'm excited about maybe this new dawn of football that people think may happen. But if we let up as fans, and if we stop talking about it, and if we stop pushing, it will just revert back to normal. That's my worry and fear. If Man United lose to Leeds at the weekend, and it all becomes about how bad McTominay is, Trashford, Ollie out, do you know what I mean? I'm glad Pogba's leaving, he needs a better club. If that becomes the rhetoric again, which I understand, and I've always used this expression, if that becomes the 10-to-1 ratio, for every one Man United fan complaining about how we're run, compared to 10 Man United fans complaining to how we play, nothing will change. And it's vice versa. You said earlier, mate. You said earlier, Villa fans have cancelled their protest tonight. And I'm like, that's their right. But this is what will happen. Things will slowly peter away without us actually getting any kind of tangible change or a guarantee of change that we want. And I just anticipate that happening. It will lose momentum before anything else. But I hope we're wrong. In terms of Edwin Van Da Sar coming in, maybe bringing someone like Mark Overmars with him, because it sounds like Matt Judge is leaving as well. Even with the Glazers running the club, how much further do you think a Van Da Sar and Overmars combination could advance this club?
Oh, so much further. So much further. I had a mini debate with a fan that was basically saying, give Ed Woodward his credit because he did some crazy deals that no one else could have done in terms of sponsorship deals. And I said to him, bruv, he failed at his job. If we were good on the football pitch, if we were successful, he wouldn't need to pull out of his arse these crazy mad deals. It's because the sponsors will come to us and give us the money anyway, because we're the best. And then he said, just like Manchester City. And I explained to him, Manchester City are a club that's still trying to find out their global brand. They're still to establish themselves in world football and across the world. We've already got that. All we needed was success. And then Ed Woodward would be making all these mad deals without even trying. Man United, even before Woodward, were making mad deals. We always had the mad deals. We always had the biggest sponsorships, the biggest adverts, the biggest kit deals. We always had that because we were the most successful team on the pitch. So if Edwin Van Da Sar came in, Overmars with him, he would focus on the football. He wouldn't need to be solely focused on the commercial side because that will come to him. The sponsors will just come flooding to them because he's focused on the football. If he made us great, if he made us good again, if he made us have the right infrastructure and the right team and the right manager, and we go win things, we won't be chatting about how Edwin Van Da Sar's sponsorship deals. Oh, that's amazing. We won't be saying that because we'll be too happy celebrating the fact that we've won the league, Champions League, we're winning things and we're successful. That's all that matters. People back in Woodward, foolish.
Absolutely. And I think for me, I would be more excited about the deals he was bringing in if so much of that money wasn't being used to service debt, service interest payments, to pay the Glazers. If they were lowering ticket prices for fans, subsidizing away travel for fans, they were fixing the holes in the goddamn roof. They were fixing, if they fixed the 12-year hole in Man United's right-hand side of the attack, I would celebrate the noodle deals and the car sponsorships, but we don't see enough of it. It's like me coming home saying, got the bonus today, kids, got the bonus today. Me going out and buying myself a brand new car, brand new clothes, and my kids sitting there eating dry toast with holes in their socks. Do you know what I mean? That's how it feels to me. Great, Man United got this new deal, but how much of it is legitimately petering through to all areas. Yes, we've spent money on players. And I saw Edward's quote yesterday. We've invested £1 billion in players since I've been here. He said that like he was celebrating it.
That's what I mean. This brother is the guy that ran our football club.
It's crazy. So I will celebrate those commercial deals when those commercial deals impact us on the pitch in a positive way. Until that point, I don't care about that, because although they run us as a going concern, they run us as a corporate entity, they don't run us as a football club. And I don't. There are some businesses in this world that I support. As in, I love the brand. They're a big company, so I support them. I've got lots of. I try to do my best to buy things from small businesses, my friends' companies, families' businesses as best I can. Accountants that I use, solicitors that I use, builders that I use. It's always people I know, small local businesses that I promote. But the one thing I pick on sentiment, love, and passion only is Manchester United. I don't pick them. Do you know what? Kids, let's sit down and pick our football team. No kid goes, can we pick the one who's run the best of the business, who has the best sponsorship deals, who has the best car manufacturer sponsor them? No one picks for that reason. Nobody picks for that reason. And we have to stop celebrating those things like they're major. Those things are great. Liverpool last year celebrated their Nike deal because they were in the middle of being at the top of the league. If they were sitting 7th and not winning titles, but were like, we now have the biggest sponsorship deal in the world, that triggers fans. That triggers them.
You know what's mad, yeah? You know what's mad? People for those deals that Woodward got, some people got fired from their job. That's how bad those deals were. They weren't good deals. Maybe for Man United, but for the companies themselves, they were terrible. They fired people because of it. You don't fire people when you're the best team in England and you get a deal with them. You don't fire people for that. The people outside the football world, in the business world, realize that, wait a sec, we're paying all this money for this dying club. This is why it made no sense that this guy got praised. It made no flipping sense.
I hear you, bro. We don't even have screens at Man United to put the VAR decisions up on. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's nothing. And I love Old Trafford, and I can't. You know, I was actually talking about it yesterday in my meeting, and I can't wait to reveal what we've got coming. But I want to be. I can't reveal what I've got coming about making this make sense. But I can't wait to get to more games, and this opportunity we've got is going to get me back to where I want to be. But I'm not going until either they're gone or we see fundamental changes at the clubs. I'm not going to give them my money directly in any way, shape, or form. We're going to go to some calls now. We want to know what you're thinking and feeling. Marble Halls TV, long time Arsenal fan and contributor of the Terrace, says hashtag KES out, Glazers out. How come it takes a crisis for fans to wake up and realize the problem? Owners have reinforced their waistband settings. I love that. Do you know what, bro? That's life. Love it or loathe it. We only act after a tragedy. We only act after something goes wrong, and very rarely before the fact. There's just countless examples of it. You go through life and look at like procedures you go through at airports. A lot of them didn't exist before September the 11th, as an example. And you think, why would you not check if somebody didn't have one of these items on them? Because nothing bad had happened before to a large scale, so no one cared enough. You know, I remember I used to go to this club, and they used to search you when you went in like this. It was like 3 little taps and let you in. And then there's a tragedy there one weekend where there was a fatal stabbing and somebody brought a knife in. They were shut for 3 weeks. When they reopened, the checks were mad. They didn't have dogs, but it was like they had dogs and spotlights and metal detectors. They suddenly did it. Now, if they'd have had that level of scrutiny on checks when it went in, maybe somebody wouldn't have died. But they only came in after the fact. That's just life for you. It happens. And it's, I don't know how old you are saying that. I mean it with respect. You're going to see it loads more. Trust me. Like, you're going to see it forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. There's no doubt about it. We're not going to be doing post-match reactions like you think, but we have something else in the pipeline that no other football. We've got 3 things we're developing that no other football channel has ever done. Ever. And it's going to be amazing. So stay with us. Can't wait for it. We're going to go to calls now to let people come on and have their says. First up, we didn't speak to him much yesterday. Man like Abs is with us. What you saying, Abs?
I'm good, fellas. What are you guys saying?
All good. What are you here to say, bro?
Firstly, I want to say, obviously, football fans in the UK and abroad, just want to say well done, because I feel like finally, like I've said for a couple of years, fans actually have the powers to sort of change something. regarding the Van Der Sar thing, because I just did a quick look up just to see his post-football background. The fact that he was a marketing director for Ajax for 3 years before becoming the CEO, it makes sense for me. Or I would love to see maybe Fergie for a year or two, maybe with him sort of mentoring someone like Gary Neville. The reason why I would say Gary Neville, just because he runs a club, he actually has got a good footballing brain. It would make sense as well. But we need to copy the Ajax or Bayern Munich model of getting more footballers and football-minded people in our club.
No, I hear you. I hear you. The Fergie thing, though, for me, let the man rest. Let him rest. Let him rest. He gave his heart, his soul, his body, and his mind for this football club. Let him rest. Let him rest. Let him go. And in terms of, and in terms of like the Gary Neville thing, this popped into my head just like a few minutes ago. Vio said something to the Newcastle fans, which was very controversial and very unfair, in my opinion. He said, "Why don't you guys come together and buy the football club if you've got such an issue?" Well, I'm saying, I'm like, but wait a sec. You, Gary Neville, Evra, Scholes, Giggs, all these man them, Nicky, but you man have got peas. Come together and buy Manchester United Football Club. Because all together, I reckon you guys actually could do something.
Do you know what's interesting about that? I mean, obviously, I don't know if collectively they've got 3 billion quid, but you can get a consortium together. So they've got money, you could bring it together. And people like that, listen, I backed Rio for a top job at Man United a couple of years ago when he was linked. And a lot of people said, why? I don't think people realize the businesses that Rio Ferdinand runs. Restaurants, magazines, YouTube channels. He is involved. I don't know his capacity within it, but representation of people from a commercial standpoint.
Sports management as well, isn't it?
Sports management that he does. The sports management. He's a presenter. I don't know if everyone's aware that Rio Ferdinand was a professional football player as well and understand things. And you only have to listen. There's two things about the way Rio Ferdinand speaks that stands out to me hugely. And it's he's on a level with working class, normal people like you and I. But you can also tell that if he's in a room where he needs to be professional, serious, and corporate, he can handle himself in that environment as well because he's an intelligent man. People like Rio Ferdinand are who we should be looking to. Edwin Van Da Sar has actually done the role that we're looking for to a degree. You've got the class of 92. Now, I don't know how plausible this is with them owning Salford. I don't know the rules and regs, so I'd have to research that. But you may not agree with all their pundit opinions, but they are running a football club right now. They've been players. Some of them have been like Gary Neville, like a failed manager. It's like, do your research. He didn't want to be a manager. He took it He took it as a learning experience, kind of regretted doing it, but he never had any desires when he took the job to be a football manager. These individuals could all help Manchester United moving forward because they understand it from a commercial point of view, but they understand that what is most paramount importance is to succeed, is to get to the top, and is to be where you need to. And a lot of people have called them out recently for being hypocrites. Oh, but you know, Salford have got a billionaire owner. How is that fair on the teams at that level? Well, it's very different. There's nothing stopping other clubs at that level being taken over by billionaires. The point about the Super League they were condemning is it's like you're drawing a line under it and going, right, doesn't matter who buys clubs now, none of you are ever getting to this level. With the way that Salford City have done it, not everyone likes it, but anybody can do a Salford City if they get the right consortium together and the right owners together. It isn't a closed shop that nobody else can attend. So I do see the differences there. But I think you're right, KJ and Abs. We've got to look at some of the alumni of Manchester United or the alumni of elite European football, the Edwin Van Da Sars, the Dan, I've heard rumors wants to go upstairs. Bringing a mind like that into the club. I'll tell you someone who stands out to me. Again, I approach him and have a conversation. Eric Cantona. Have you heard him speak? He's a good man. I'm not saying give him the CEO job.
Yeah.
But I still think, I mean, maybe not actually. I did hear his speech at FIFA. And I don't know, well, maybe. But he's a bit of a thespian. But I just think sometimes having people like that understand the core of the club is important. Now, maybe actually, I've actually retracted. I retract that.
Yeah, don't. You don't want Eric. Don't bring back.
I just remembered that. But listen, I think Gary Neville's, Paul Scholes' I mean, how we let David Beckham go and start his own club in America and not approach him to get involved in United.
That's a
And
good option.
we don't want to do it, but we should be looking at these things. No, they're definitely not Eric Cantona. I retract that statement. I retract that. I'm just thinking back to that weird speech he gave. I'm like, no, I don't want that. I don't want that.
The other thing which will be interesting, because obviously you've got the Ollie outers who will be going, if we get Van Da Sar, Ten Hag, we'll get Ten Hag. And I'll be like, oh, guys, just leave Ollie alone, man. I feel like Ollie's on the borderline getting bullied now. Literally, people need to actually calm down.
Like, if new owners came to, I'll be honest, if new owners came in with a new footballing structure and they said, Ollie, we don't think you're the man, I wouldn't be upset, because I believe more in the new structure and new direction than necessarily I believe in Ollie has to stay. But people are picking on him, though. I get that. Like, literally, a man couldn't breathe and then be like, you shouldn't be here. You're scum. You're a traitor. You're just like, bro. Man just opened his mouth. And just,
do you know what? I am actually glad. I'm very, very glad indeed that Ollie didn't have to address the media in a press conference this week, because you never know what Ollie's going to say, right? And that's on him. That's a weakness in his leadership, I think, the way he communicates publicly. Unless he did, actually, forget this. If he'd have said what Pep, Tuchel, or Klopp said, it would have been twisted against him. So if he would have said, I support the club to make the right decision, it would be categorically backing them, scumbag, get out of here. I loved everything Klopp said. And I even loved when Klopp said he won't walk away from this club. He's responsible for this club. If Ollie said that, they would say, you just want the P, you don't care about the fans, you're just backing the Glazers. And if he did a bit of a, the Pep Guardiola side of things, they would have said, what are you talking about? Actually tell us what you think about the tournament, as opposed to just giving us sort of open-ended, generic. And I don't think it was open-ended or generic from nobody was, not everybody wasn't. Let me rephrase this again. Pep sort of spoke about football isn't football without competition. And, if games that you lose don't matter, then football is dead. He didn't actually come out and say, I think the Super League is the worst idea that I've ever come across in football, but he implied that.
Yeah.
If Ollie didn't directly say this is a disgrace, he would have been ripped apart from pillar to post. So I am glad that Ollie didn't have to speak about it, because we know what would have happened to him, brother. Do you know what I mean? The guy tells a joke and people take it seriously. And for me, I enjoy that. Like, I enjoy like as I've said earlier, someone said, what if Van Da Sar comes in but keeps Ollie? I would love to see the reaction to that. I said it before. What if Pep Poch comes in and keeps playing McTominay? I can't wait to see the excuses. It'd be amazing. It'd be amazing.
What's crazy is that people forget when the Man City owners came in, Mark Hughes stayed for a year. They're going to give Ollie, whoever comes in, a year to see what they can do before bringing in their own player, their own manager. Like, Van Da Sar's not going to come in and all of a sudden, yeah, Ollie, pack your bags and go. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. It shouldn't happen that way either, because you can unsettle the dressing room, you can frustrate people. One of the biggest reasons that Harry Maguire, Bruno Fernandes, and Luke Shaw went in on Woodward, a big part of it was they were disgusted at how Ollie was hung out to dry. Yeah. And he only faced brief questions about it on Sunday. But after that game Sunday, nobody really, it was being spoken about, but it was almost a little bit like, let's wait and see what comes out. It was 3 or 4 hours after that where it exploded, right? But you go into a club and you just get rid of Ollie or you mistreat him straight away. You can turn the players against you, the new owners, instantly, which makes your jobs harder. Abs, great call, mate. Thank you very much for coming on, having your say. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Sorry, I mean, he's going to say goodbye. What's next for our club, Terry? I don't know. I don't know. The next thing for us is the protest Saturday. I'm fully supportive of. I will do my best to generate as much traction for it as possible. I said earlier on my Twitter stream, I big up Saeed massively for doing this. I think it takes real bravery to put your head above the parapet and be the person to leave it. Huge thing for him to do. So big up to him for doing that. After that game, we play Leicester, and we have to then turn our attention to the football, because, a few days ago we were saying football don't matter anymore. It does again now, because top 4 gets you in the Champions League. We need to finish the season good. We need to get our head back in the game. We've got a big week ahead in the semi-finals. So we need to focus positively on our squad and on our manager in the midst of all this. But then we need to make sure we're putting pressure on the board and the owners of Manchester United to bring in the changes that we want. More fans say, football men and women running the football club. the most paramount important thing for us is that we run the football club in a way that is designed to make us the best football team ever. Not about making more money, not about growing the share price, not about landing a new sponsorship deal. That has to be secondary to the football. Do all of that to generate the money to invest into the team and the infrastructure to make this team astounding again, make this team brilliant again. That's what comes next for the club. If I was running it, or if I had any say in this in any way, shape, or form. Next on the show, we've got a man like Aaron. What are you saying, Aaron?
Fiorentino Perez, piss off and never darken my door again, you prick. All these people, all these owners in football, right? All these people, the Glazers, Kroenke, FSG, Levy, Enoch, Woodward, never darken my door again, and I'll beat you over the head with a corner flag if you come around my ends. I'm absolutely gassed after what I heard last night. I was absolutely amazed. And I'll say it from my end. I commented it in the live chat, Terry, a while ago. I've drummed up the interest from the Football League fan base, and I can say categorically, representing every single one of the 72 fan bases, we are all with the fan base of these 6 clubs. We back you guys. We 100% are on your side. I'm going to be virtually at the Arsenal protest on Friday evening. A gal or someone's going to be live chatting me and getting me involved in the virtual protest. So thank God for that. But honestly, like, I was so gassed. Like, we lost to 2 penalties against Accrington last night. I didn't care because we got our football back, and it feels amazing. So I'm gassed. I can't wait to see what the future is for these clubs. And from the Van Da Sar point of view, I'd love it if Van Da Sar came in. But I'd love it if Van Da Sar came in and the Glazers pack their bags, stick the towel between their legs and get out. Because if they don't go, I'll force them out if I have to. And I know this protest on Saturday is going to be absolutely wonderful. So, Terry, KJ, big up yourselves because you've been leading this charge. You've been helping us lead this charge to get our sport back. Big up the Chelsea fans. Big up the Tottenham fans today. Big up the Man U fans on Saturday. Big up the Arsenal fans on Friday. And I can tell you from my ends, from the Football League fan bases, that this Super League would have killed some of our clubs. We are now, and to be fair, this is interesting, right? They're now starting to talk about the wealth coming into our Football League for the first time in 8 years. We've been crying for more money to come to our leagues for 8 years now because we've been promised funds that we were not given. And my club's actually come out and spoken against that. They've actually exposed the Football League for not giving us the funds that we were promised. Now people are talking about wealth to help out the lower league clubs for the first time in 8 years. There's a real change on the horizon right now. I'm leading the charge. I don't care what the owners of these clubs say. If you want to attack me, go fuck yourself. That's all I've got to say, mate.
Thank you very, very much, mate, for coming on. Listen, that was one of the best rants we've had on the show in a while. Top man, come with something to say, and he said it.
Well, come forever, baby.
Bro, listen, and I understand why fans of the lower level clubs are frustrated and angry. Viewers tuning in, smash that like and that share button for us right about now, people. Get that done. Subscribe to the Terrace. Ray's now on the show. Hang on, I've got Super Chat first. It says, would it be possible to bring back David Gill?
You just signed up for the UEFA thing, didn't it?
It may be. I don't know how his workload is. I'd love David Gill to come back. See, David Gill had the right balance when he was here, in my view. He had that balance of not hanging the Glazers out to dry to create like anarchy, but he made us do the right things as best he could. And we know it was hard. We didn't do all the right things, and it wasn't perfectly run during his time. And it never will be when the Glazers are here. You're always going to have elements where you've got to concede defeat because of what they're trying to take out the club, i.e., did David Gill really want debt on the club, and did they really want to pay tens of millions a year in loan payments and interest payments? No, but he had to get the best out of the situation he was in, and that's why you need good people running the club, because you need to get the best out of a bad situation. And I want the best people in class to come in and lead this ship with, especially, well, always, but if the Glazers are here, that needs to happen. Ray's going to be on the show with us now. Ray, welcome back to the Terrace, mate. What do you want to say?
Well, the first thing I wanted to say about Ed Woodward going, I was happy. Yes, I'm still happy. But what we have to understand about Ed Woodward, he thinks, he puts this picture that he was this economic genius, he was doing so much for the club, which is totally false. He was just looking at us as a fucking whale and taking us oil out of us. Because basically, if he really wanted to make more money, he would invest in Manchester United. You're telling me if we were winning the Premier League, winning the Champions League, he wouldn't be able to take more money out of us? Obviously, but we wouldn't be making that much problem. We will be happy. I will be happy. Champions League winners, Premier League winners, take the money you want. You're bringing me the players that I want. You're bringing me the Sanchos. You're bringing me the top players. And we have to focus on that problem right now. Right now, even if Van Da Sar comes in, Rio, whoever comes in, we're not focusing on the problem. And we have to maintain our mentality on the problem, and that's the Glazers. We have to understand, we fans have so much power. And it's not just on Twitter. We have physical power. We can put pressure because no company, no person that owns these clubs want have black, this negative media out there. The reason we need to go out there and put pressure on the fans and for the people watching this show to understand, here in Bolivia, in one of our clubs in our city, we hated the coaching staff and the directors so much. We went inside the stadium during practice and we surrounded the coach and we made sure that the pressure was on him for the next game because they were losing like 5-10 games in a row. And the directors didn't want to sell. They said, we trust him. And we made the pressure. We have to pressure the Glazers to get out of our club. We have to make that pressure. We can't just sit at home and say, no, yeah, blah, blah. No, we have to make that pressure. That pressure has to be felt by them. Because if they don't have that pressure, if media is not saying what's going on and we're just doing it on Twitter, on the internet, they don't care. We've seen it. They don't give a shit of what we think unless we put pressure on their money, on their business.
I couldn't agree with you more. There are certain things I think are important. So I think that there are some ceremonial things you can do. So you set a time and a date, and everybody unfollows the Man United accounts. Everybody starts to boycott sponsors. But that damages them financially. Less followers on social media damages them financially. But it's about the masses doing it. I remember somebody saying, if everybody stops going to games, tourist fans would turn up or whatever. Well, turn up to the game then and create a 4-person, 5-person thick circle around the stadium, link arms, and don't let anyone in. Like, you're allowed to do that legally. Like, your right to protest is there. It would only take I don't think it would take long for clubs to actually listen, and especially if you started impacting them financially. Look what Arsenal did when half the fans stopped turning up to games towards the end of Wenger's reign. Boom, changes instantly. Because that was costing them thousands of pounds, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of pounds in sort of match day revenues, coffees, teas, programs, megastore buys, etc. That was a minuscule thing. If you did that on a grander scale, it would work. I wouldn't advocate breaking into the training grounds over here and surrounding the teams. But I understand this.
I mean, as the leader of Resistance, I can't publicly say no, but I can't publicly say yes. You know what I'm saying?
Just get me a plane. Get me a plane over there. I'll do it myself.
Take one for the team. What a true Resistance member, fam. What a soldier, fam.
We have to put pressure on them, and not literally by going into the camp, but
yes,
we have to put a pressure on not just the staff, because as much as we hate it, not hate it, but we don't realize those players, Bruno, Maguire, they have a voice in there, and if we put pressure from outside, by boycotting games, by boycotting their money, and we put pressure on the players to speak out, to talk, they're not gonna want to be in that situation. They're gonna sell the club. They're gonna want to sell the club.
I hear you on that completely, mate. Great call. Great points being raised there, mate. Definitely made more sense than Man United. You did say last night Man United are going to win the league, didn't you?
Yeah, and they are.
Oh, that was you.
21 is coming. I'm coming in later. After the Villa game, 21 is coming.
Love it. Love the energy, bro. Loving the energy massively. Next on the show, we've got Gunnar. Welcome to the show.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, mate. What do you want to say, bro?
Yeah. With the Van Da Sar news, I think you guys are forgetting who the Glazers are. the Glazers, just like the Cronkies, they don't care about United at all. If they sign him, I don't think they will. I think they will just get another puppet. I think it's actually more likely if he comes to Arsenal, because it's such an Arsenal thing to do. Because the Cronkies, they love to appease the fans. The Glazers, they're not like that. They like their puppets. They're puppet merchants, they are. And you can ask the American franchises, you can ask the Americans, they do it all the time. They're just going to hire one of those guys, Matt Law, one of those guys, to run your football club. And the Cronkies, on Friday, they're going to fire, this is a prediction, they're going to fire Vinay. You don't know him, Mr. Arsenal, head of Arsenal. They're going to fire him, and we're going to get a new one in. That's what they're going to do, man. They're going to distract us with a small issue. They're going to distract us. The bigger issues are these owners, and we need to get rid of them. We need to get rid of them because they're going to do this again. If you think they're not going to do this again, you must be joking with yourself, because they're going to do it the soonest as they can. These American owners want to destroy this game. They don't even understand what they would have going to done to the lower leagues, to the football pyramid. They would not know. They don't care about the football pyramid. They don't even know about Leicester, how they came through the leagues, Burnley, Brighton, all these teams that came through the league. Okay, you can say they're nothing, but these teams are the Premier League. They are the Premier League. They're the heart of soul. We are just now owned by billionaires that don't really give a shit. Man, we need to get rid of them. We need to get rid of them. Simple.
What makes you think they would sack Vinay? I understand what you're saying about everything else.
No, 100%. I bet you any money.
But why? Why? Is there any leads? Is there any reports?
No, it's such an Arsenal thing to do. Bro, KJ, I'm telling you, yeah. Even the firings of before, everything is starting to make sense for me. Why they fired all those staff members? Why they got rid of? Why the restructure just happened out of nowhere at Arsenal? The restructure happened out of nowhere. Kroenke's been in this club for years and years and years. It had nothing to do with COVID. It had to do with the Super League. They were saving money for the Super League. And now you hear about even the cap. Who would say something like that? To have a cap in the league? Okay, maybe it's a good idea.
Are you sort of suggesting that it'll be like a ceremonious thing? Let's just get him to fall on his sword. Yeah. Everyone will celebrate, but then they'll just go back to behaving the way they were anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, scapegoat. Yeah. I hear you on that.
Okay.
Listen, there are some Man United fans that think the same thing about Woodward. Let's get Woodward out now. Let's just replace him with another puppet, and let's run the club in the same way.
Yeah,
that's why we can't let the energy go. Because if you let the energy go and just go back to focusing on Arteta in, Arteta out, Ollie in, Ollie out. If you just go back to those conversations, those key stage 1 problems with your football clubs, nothing is going to change. And my only fear is that a large percentage of people that want to do these protests want to do it because right now it's fashionable. Will they turn up every week and do it? I don't know. I'm looking at myself. I haven't committed to doing these things. I know that I don't have the time to even do it. So I'm not going to virtue signal and be like, we've all got to stand outside the stadium every week and shout, because I know I'm not going to be able to commit to doing that. So it would be hypocritical of me to say it. And I'm not suggesting that people have to give up their time. But if no one does, and if nobody walks away and takes money away from the clubs, this is all folly. Nothing will change.
Terry, just before I go, you have to remember as well, Ed Woodward, it was rumored that he was leaving. And they dropped the news as soon as there was protest. They heard protesters coming. This is to appease the fans. That's it. Once the storm blows away, they're going to hire a puppet. And you're going to be like, I'm doing conspiracy theories. But I'm telling you, yeah, KJ, Terry, when I come back here and I'm going to be laughing at you guys, I'll be like, what? Look, you guys got another puppet in charge. And Arsenal probably got
and you could be right. It's a great call, mate. Thank you very much for coming on the channel and having your say.
He said something. I'm laughing, but I'm just confused. He said the Cronkies and the Glazers are the same, but they will hire a Van Da Sar, and we will hire a puppet. But I'm just like, if they're the same, surely they'll both hire puppets.
I think some of what he said was slightly off, but I get I get the core of it.
I get it.
And it's like I've said before, like if someone goes to the protest this week and then that's it, and they walk away and do nothing else, I'm not going to criticize them. I'm not going to have a pop at them. I'm not going to say, oh, you're weak or anything. That's just their personal choice, and I'm going to respect that. All I'm doing is stating a point that if we as And everyone's got a different way of doing this. I don't think you necessarily. I don't think you have to set foot outside a stadium and shout. I think the best way to protest is with your feet and/or by damaging their wallet. It's far more potent, especially as we all say they only care about money. Listen, you can shout outside the stadium tonight. People realize the Glazers aren't there. You know.
That's true. That's true.
They're not going to hear it. So it doesn't have any impact whatsoever. To the Glazers, does that make sense? What does impact them is looking to take money away, threatening to, and that type of thing. And if people decide not to do it, I'm not one to judge them at all. I'll just leave it.
The Woodward PR is coming out.
Is it?
So Ed Woodward told Joe Glazer of his intention to quit earlier in the day, and the American asked him to reconsider, but Woodward felt like he had to go. Like he's trying to twist it like he's the grand, like, yeah, I didn't really want this. Like I regret everything I've done. Bruv, you suck, bruv. You suck at your job. And that's why you're leaving, fam. Like, that's all it is. You are terrible at what you do. Like,
And listen, something I've said before about the Glazers, one thing they may have realized is if we keep going backwards or not progressing at the right rates, there is the possibility in the medium to long term to start losing money. And the Glazers, if they only care about money, I said a while ago, if you can bring someone in that can convince them that making us play football better and winning things will generate you more money and you'll get less complaints from fans, why not do that? Well, this is what I don't understand, right? If we were winning Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues, we'd generate more in income. Fact, good prize money, better sponsorship deals because we're winning. Everybody wants to be associated with winners. They could then take out more dividends. Share price would go, they make more money, and the fans maybe wouldn't like it, but we'd leave it alone.
I'll tolerate it. I'll be like, yo, if you man are bringing us success, I can tolerate you freaking taking money out. I'm like, okay, cool. Because you're still spending money on the team. You're still spending money on the infrastructure. You're still spending money on the stadium, the academy, the training complexes. I'm like, cool. You're spending your P's. You know what? Cool. Shave a bit off the top. Get what you're owed for doing a good job. I can deal with that. But the fact that you're doing a crap job and you're still taking P's, that's when we've got to fight. That's when I'll fight you. You know what I'm saying? Like
110%. And I think that's where, look, what I want is that owner doesn't take a penny out, no debt, all the money's pumped back into the club and local community and bit of money given away to charity internationally and domestically. Great. That's what I want. But what you want in life and what you get are two different things. Someone's got to sell to them that we can make you the best football team in the world and you can still earn all your money at the same time. At least then you create an equilibrium, a happy medium, as it were, to see how things can go forward. Listen, viewers, everyone who's tuned in this afternoon, thank you. We are back. There's going to be much more content today. There's protests, there's games, there's more fallout, there's more news. Make sure you're tuning into the Football Terrace. We will be here every step of the way we can with you. But until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you.